If you smell something burning on the stove and you notice something on the stove that's been cooking, it's important to make sure you just turn it off as soon as possible, especially if someone else was cooking it, because it's never good to leave things unattended on a stove or in an oven when you're cooking and leave the house, because then you could almost catch your house on fire, especially if you have a gas stove. I was glad I was aware of this when this happened. Hey everybody, it's Mena. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is the very first video that you're seeing of me, then welcome to my channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you didn't. Sorry, there's like a bird outside. I apologize for that background noise. But anyway, today in this video, I have a story time for you guys. This is going to be a story time retelling of an old video I made a couple years ago about the time there were beets burning on my stove and they were left unattended. So this is a story about how I was at home one day and I noticed this pot of beets like burning on my stove, and I go and turn it off quickly, and it turned out my mom had cooked them on the stove and left, and she totally forgot she had them on. And this is a story about how I was glad I was home when this happened, so then to make sure our house was safe. So this is a story just to teach you guys, if you have any type of oven, it's really good or a stove, it's very good to make sure you turn it off when you leave, especially if you are cooking something. It's just a good safety hazard because you don't want your house to burn down and you don't want your food to burn. And I get it, sometimes we forget when we're cooking things, which is not a good thing, but we should always be aware of things, especially if we're in a mode like we lost a family member or lost a pet. And it's just good to be aware of when you are cooking things on the stove. So I made this video a couple years ago, and I don't like the quality of it, and that was filmed on a Samsung tablet. So if you want to see the original story, I'll link it down below, and I'll also link this video to that as well. So if you want to check that out, make sure to go down below to find the link. So I'm gonna get started, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So this all started about 3 years ago. At that time, my mom and I were going through a phase of losing our dog, Gabby, so it was really hard. And I'm sitting at home, and I was downstairs, and I had just finished talking to my mom on the phone, and we were both kind of crying because we were talking about how we missed our dog, Gabby. I'll insert a quick picture of my dog, Gabby, if you guys want to see her. So some of you, if you've been subscribed to my channel since 2012, you may remember Gabby from some of my older videos. Sadly, Gabby had to be put to sleep in 2022, and she was a very sweet dog. So we were kind of like grieving about that. Then all of a sudden, after I'm done talking to my mom on the phone for a little bit, I suddenly start to smell something burning. And back then we had a Wedgwood stove, so it was like a gas stove. And I started to smell something burning, and I was like, what's going on? And I noticed there was a pot on the stove, and I turn the stove off, and I'm like waving the smoke out of the way, and I look, and it is a set of 3 dried burnt beets, and the water was completely dissolved from the pan. And I was like, uh-oh. So my friend Ted, I'm sure if you watch my channel, you might remember my friend Ted, comes into the house, and he smells the pot of burning beets. So he helps me open all the windows and stuff, and then everything. And then I discard the pot of burning beets, and then I wash the pan. And then I call my mom and tell her that there was a pot of beets burning on the stove, and I didn't know they were there. And I wanted to let her know that, because I didn't know if it was her that was cooking it or if my brother was cooking it, because my brother lived with us at the time. So I don't know who was cooking the pot of beets. And it turned out my mom was the one that was cooking the pot of beets, and she was very apologetic and apologized for the little mishap. And I said, that's okay. I just told her I was very glad that I was aware that it was cooking on the stove when I smelled it. And I was just glad that the house didn't end up I was glad that the house was safe above all, even though even though the stove was on. So I just let her know at least the house is safe, and I was aware that it was on by smelling it. So the moral of the story is, I get it when we're all grieving, we're not very aware of things, but it's important to be extremely aware of when you're cooking stuff. So you should never leave the house when you're cooking things, especially if you have your oven on or your stove on, because you could end up burning something, or worse, catch your house on fire. So you should always make sure you turn stuff off. And I get it when we're kind of like going through a grieving phase, like we lost a family member, friend, or pet or whatever, and we need to really make sure that we're aware of when we're cooking stuff and before we leave the house, and make sure the stove is off. So it's just a really important thing to get into, just a safety thing. So always be considerate. I apologize, that was my tablet, of when you're cooking things so you don't catch your house on fire. And like I said, when we go through a grieving phase, it is very hard, but it's good to be aware when you remember that you're cooking things before you leave the house. So that was the retelling of my burning beets story. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see the original story, I'll link it down below if you didn't see. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I post Tuesday through Sunday, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye. If you like this video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe.